Last time we saw them, the three boys were riding bikes together, and they headed down towards a wooded area at the end of the street, which was about 6:30 yesterday evening. And they're always in the house before dark. None of the three have ever been missing or taken off ever before.
What's going through your mind as a parent?
I'm scared to death. That's, plain and simple. I'm scared for the safety and welfare of all three boys, and would appreciate any help that anyone would give us in recovering our three sons.
Welcome to a time stand still. No one leaves and no one will.
Green one on the left side there, red one on the right side.
Nobody won.
Dream the same thing every night. I see our freedom in my sight.
Don't let nobody come up here. Don't nobody in.
My brain seems scarred. Sleep, my friend, and you will see the dream is my reality. They keep me locked up in this cage. Can't they see it's why my brain says rage?
Investigators continue to track down leads in the case, but they still have no suspects.
We've got 30,000 people in West Memphis, and as far as I'm concerned, everybody's a suspect.
Instead of letting their kids walk home from school, parents started picking them up.
And in this middle-class neighborhood, people wonder why no one has been arrested for the murders.
The reward for information leading to the conviction of the killer or killers has skyrocketed and is now at $25,000.
All of West Memphis. All of West Memphis is just torn up.
People in West Memphis gathered in church today to count their blessings after an emotional week capped by the arrests. For more than a month, the savage murders of Steve Branch, Chris Byers, and Michael Moore had nagged people's conscience.
At a press conference, Inspector Gary Gitchell said the case against the accused teens is very strong.
Scale of 1 to 10, how solid do you think the case is?
11.
Jesse Miskelly, Damian Eccles, and Jason Baldwin are now convicted killers.
Do you have any legal reason to show the court or give the court at this time as to why a sentence should not be imposed?
Because I'm innocent.
Pardon?
Because I'm innocent.
Well, Kelly's court is back in session. On the docket today, meet Terry Hobbs. This man sued the Dixie Chicks for defamation. Why? Natalie Maines has been very vocal about this case, saying that new DNA testing would prove Hobbs was involved in his own stepson's death.
If you'll raise your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Mr. Hobbs, could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why you sued my client?
For her statements against me that she made on the internet.
What do you hope to get out of the lawsuit?
Justice.
How do you define justice?
In a court of law.
You want money, don't you?
I want justice as the courts deem.
An apology? Is that enough?
Wherever the courts decide.
No, I'm not asking I'm asking what you want to get out of this lawsuit, Mr. Hobbs.
If I was sit here to be honest,
then that's what I want. I want you to be
I would
totally
sit here
honest.
and say I'd like to see the Dixie Chicks humiliated, like they have caused me.
Okay.
I think that's a little bit fair.
Mr. Hobbs, I'm going to have to go into some material now that may be sensitive. And I want you to know that I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable or embarrass you. It's just the fact that you've placed your reputation in issue by bringing this lawsuit. It is your testimony that you are not a violent man.
Correct.
And you do not fly into rages.
Correct.
Pam Hobbs says last weekend her husband Terry beat her up at their home in Memphis. When Pam's father and brother heard she'd been beaten, they went to check on her.
He started telling me it was none of my business, and then naturally I just got more upset and started hitting him. And I took him to the ground, and next thing I know, he shot me.
Terry Hobbs faces assault charges, and he's now in a Memphis jail.
You did backhand Pam Hobbs the night that you ended up shooting her brother, correct?
Okay.
Is that correct?
All right.
Is that funny?
Well, you get tired talking about it after a while. Well, she had been provoking me for 3 days over one simple woman.
She was asking for it?
Well, you might ask her.
Did you ever vow to get revenge on Pam for kissing another man?
Never.
Did Pam kiss another man a few weeks before Stevie died?
I'm not sure when, but something happened.
And tell me what you mean by that.
She was kissing that Mexican in our house.
And that happened a few weeks before Stevie died?
I'm not sure when.
How would we best determine when that occurred?
Ask the Mexican.
Let me direct your attention to paragraph 14 of Pam Hobbs' declaration. 2 weeks after Stevie died, Terry left town. He said I was too much to handle and that he could not stay around me anymore. Did I read that correctly?
You did.
And is that a true paragraph?
I'm not sure about the time frame, but yeah, I had to get away.
Are you all gonna be able to get back together, or is the marriage over?
It's over.
Do you think you'd be still together if Stevie hadn't been murdered?
Well, we had trouble anyway, you know, to be honest with you, before this happened. And he always told me that he don't get mad, he gets even. You know, that's what he had always said to me.
Pam sure as heck thinks she did it, doesn't she?
Think who did what?
She thinks she killed Stevie.
She thinks who killed Stevie?
You.
No.
She doesn't think that?
No.
She doesn't think you were involved?
No.
A sickening feeling, yeah, I still think, you know, he could have been capable.
You've told many different versions of what you did after dropping Pam Hobbs off at work around 5 p.m. on May 5th of 1993. But in all those versions, you were always searching for Stevie the whole time, correct?
Correct.
Now, David Jacoby is saying that you came over to his house at 5-something and played guitar for about an hour.
I don't recall that.
You've repeatedly said that you were with Mark Byers and Dana Moore at 6 p.m., but Dana Moore and Mark Byers say you weren't. You say you were not ever alone on the night of May 5th and the morning of May 6th, and yet David Jacoby says you left his house twice alone. That's correct, isn't it, sir? No one can corroborate being with you or your whereabouts for the time period from 6 p.m. to 8 or 8:30 p.m. Isn't that true, sir? So my point is, there's not any witness, not any of your alibi witnesses can confirm your whereabouts from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Isn't that true, sir?
And you're saying what?
I'm saying that you don't have an alibi witness for 2 to 2.5 hours on the evening of the murders.
I don't know.
Does that concern you?
No.
Did you see Stevie at all that day, May the 5th?
No, I did not.
You didn't see Stevie or Michael Moore or Christopher Byers at all on May 5th of 1993?
I didn't.
Somebody testifies that they saw you with the boys that night?
Do what?
If somebody testified that they saw you and the boys, would they be lying?
Mm-hmm. They would be lying.
Because you never found the boys?
No, I never found them.
Never found them alive?
Never found them at all.
Okay.
So if someone were to testify that they saw the 3 little boys standing behind you on the evening of May the 5th, prior to the time that you went to pick up Pam, they'd be mistaken.
Most definitely. I can't wait to hear that one.
Stephen Branch lived 3 houses down from our house, and they came through right here. They zoomed through. There used to be a bunch of bushes right here, and they all zoomed through and went down the sidewalk. We came outside to go to church at 6:30, and I yelled at Christopher to go home, and he said, "I don't have to do what you tell me to do." And I said, "Okay, whatever," you know, and we got in the car to go to church. But I saw Terry coming down the sidewalk here, coming this direction, and he was calling for Stephen to come back down to their house. And we got in the car and left, but they were together when we went past them. As we were driving by, Stephen was on his bike riding, and Christopher and Michael were running behind him. They were laughing, they were having fun like every time I've ever seen them before. They were just having fun like any other regular day. And we drove by, they were right here near Terry's house. He was standing outside calling for Stephen, and they were still laughing. They were laughing right here. And I will never forget that. As we drove by, that was the last time we saw them. The police or no one ever came by our house. We kind of thought they might because we lived 3 doors down, but no one ever came by. This past year, they were making a big deal about the tip line on our news. And I think I heard a long time ago that they went missing at like 6 o'clock. I said to myself, I think that they need to know that they were around our house playing at 6:30. They were over here in this neighborhood. I thought that Terry would tell them that he was with the boys that day. I never knew until this year that he was saying that he didn't see them at all. He's not telling the truth. He was out there with them.